Today we are working with round tube. This is 1.5" 14 gauge conduit. We've got a couple straight pieces here. Got two 45 pieces. So what we're doing is we're going to join these like that to make a 45. Now naturally we got to clean these up, and we're going to go through with a grinder, not only clean up the ends here of all these pieces, we're also going to grind all the galvanized off of these tubes and get them down to the metal so we can weld these together. So we're going to weld together a 45, and one of these is going to be just left straight, and it's going to go on. We're going to notch this end here and weld that on like that. And then we're also going to cap the ends of these. I got all my ends cleaned up here, my 45s, and I took my flap disc, a 60 grit flap disc, and took all the coatings off of everything, so everything's down, ready to be. We got the two pieces with the 45s on them, and what we're going to do, stick them together like that, weld them together. They fit pretty good. There's a little bit of a gap right there, but we should be able to fill that in pretty easily. We'll probably end up cutting this thing back to about here, cut this one in half. I'm going to take our round piece like this, notch the bottom. We're going to do that in a second. Put it on like that. And this thing on this tube is going to be able to roll. We're going to take this bolt, cut the head off of it, grind the tip down to a point, and weld it on there. The second one we're doing is this piece here. We're going to notch the bottom of this to match this round tube, weld that on there, cut this side back to here or so, cut it in half, cut it like back to here, and take the other bolt and the same thing, cut the head off of this thing, and then take the where the nut goes on and grind it down to a point, weld it on about right there. I got my first piece of tube set up in my tubing cutter, and this is the one with the 45 cut on it. So what you got to do before you make your cut is make sure you got this tube in at the right angle. I got it set in here sideways, so it's going to weld on like that. And the reason I did that is my tube on the back is going to go on there like that. The front's going to go on like that. That way I can actually roll on the tube. For my second piece, we're doing the square tube. I got it in the same way. I went ahead and marked where I wanted to cut it out of that. This stuff here is a little bit thinner, so it should go a little bit better. When my tubing and my square tube came off the tubing cutter, they were a little bit off, so I just went with a 60 grit flap disc, cleaned them up, and just fixed them up a little bit. Set them on here on my two round pieces the way they're supposed to go, and using a square just made sure that they were square. As this is my piece that is going to be welding onto my other piece here, and on the bottom I marked a mark, and I'm going to cut that off there to shorten it up. Also on the square tube I marked it where I'm going to cut them off. We've got my square tube here, and as you can see we got it cut down. We cut about 2 inches off the end of that. Also on my round tube we went ahead and cut it down also. The next thing we got to do is we're going to cap the end of this square tube. I got a piece of steel that's going to fit on there like that, and we'll weld that onto there. We just got done welding this piece here. We got to clean it up yet. It's still kind of warm. And we got the end cap on this one also. That's welded. That's already cleaned up, but this is really warm. We'll put that down. We're going to be working on this right now. What we got is we're going to try to find center here. And I measured the whole length of it, and it comes into like 5 3/4. So what I did was come in from the side here, and it comes in at 2, and that looks like 2 1/4. And this is 2 1/4. Go this way, just a smidgen. Move it that way. 2 1/4. 2 1/4. That's dead center. I'm going to go ahead and tack this on here and weld it. On my round tube here, I got it standing up on end, and I got 2 magnets holding it in place. We're just going to put a tack on this side, put a tack on this side, remove the magnets, and weld it all the way around. Again, finding center just by measuring out from the sides here, and it's 2 inches on this one. 2 inches out from the center of the sides here. Let me go ahead and tack this thing up, and then we'll weld it. Here we go for welds. It is warm, no doubt about that. And then on this thing, this has been cooling for a little bit. This is the welds on this one. Oop. Still kind of warm. We are going to come back through and take a flap disc and clean these up. The next thing we got to do is we're going to take these bolts. I only got 2 of them. And I got 2 nuts on them. And we're going to cut the heads off of both these bolts. We take a grinder and grind it down to a point. Then on the back side, I got the 2 nuts. And what we're going to do here, as you can see here, I got a space in between the nuts. So this nut is going to get welded onto the center of that. Then, once that's welded on, this bolt with the head cut off and the point sharpened can screw down into that until it bottoms out, and then we'll take this upper nut and tighten it down on till it comes against that bolt like that, and that'll keep it from falling out. And what it also does is if anything happens to this stud here we got and it becomes welded or broken or whatever, we just loosen this nut, screw it out, get a new bolt, sharpen down the head, put it back in, and then tighten down the nut again, and you got a replaceable end for your helping hand. So here's the round one, same thing on that. It's already been cleaned up here. Again, that's why we got 2 bolts and 2 nuts. Same thing, gonna weld it on, and same thing there. So let me get this set up. We're gonna get both these welded on here. I'll get them set up to where they're centered, and we'll weld those on. So I finished these 2 helping hands up off camera. I went ahead and got the ends ground down. I got the nuts welded on. I got all my welds welded and ground down on both of these. All my welds are ground down up there. All my welds are ground down here. These 2 are done. So how this works is, say you wanted to weld that piece on there like that. Bring this thing across. And now you're ready to put a tack on there and weld it on. It's just an extra hand to help hold pieces in place while you get them tacked. What I got to do now is basically come through and paint these if I decide to paint them. We'll paint them. If not, we'll just leave them like they are. That's going to do it for this video. Go into the comment section, tell me what you think. Check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.